Patton, 1970 film depicting the life of, you guessed it, General George S. Patton, more specifically his involvement in the Second World War, starting with the African campaign against Rommel, followed by Italy, and then finally the Western Front. It's considered to be a war movie classic, and I think for good reason. It was already recognized right after its release, winning 7 Oscars that year. Best Picture, Best Leading Actor for George C. Scott, Best Director, Screenplay, Set Decoration, Sound, and Editing. And it was also nominated for 3 more, Cinematography, Visual Special Effects, and Original Score. And to this day it remains a cherished movie, even despite some of its shortcomings, which have to do with particular omissions, which I'll get to in a moment. I think the key to the movie's success is that it manages to very seamlessly do 2 things at once. It is able to advance the story of all those World War II campaigns, explaining where each army is at any time, what is the general context, the time and the situation on the front, all in a very clear and easy to follow way. So it's almost like a sort of history lesson in movie form. And then by showing Patton's actions and words during each of those events, it also continues the exploration of his character. Much of what we learn about him is through action, through observing him do what he does and gradually forming an opinion of this complicated man. On the one hand, a brilliant strategist and leader of men, famous for his efficiency and in making advances and taking territory from the Nazi Germany at any front he was thrown into. On the other hand, kind of a diva, chasing glory and fame and recognition, even if that meant risking the lives of his own soldiers. He was also a very tough and unrelenting man, which led to an incident where he physically assaulted a soldier in a hospital for being a coward, which is also depicted in the film and had significant impact on his career in the years to follow. He was also, which the movie unfortunately omits, a raging anti-Semite, and he stirred controversy by refusing to denazify Bavaria after he took control of the region, and even assigning former SS soldiers to guard the Jews liberated from the camps, which sounds just utterly insane. He even went as far as to say that when the war ended, saying that the US had fought the wrong enemy, and then to heavily advocate instant war against the Soviet Union. Now, yeah, on the last point he wasn't totally wrong, seeing the events of the Cold War and even as far as what's happening now in Russia. But to say Nazis were the wrong people to fight is going too far, I think. Now, even though the movie doesn't mention those aspects, it is pretty mature in depicting Patton as simultaneously a hero and a villain, as a complicated person whose flaws held back some of his greatness. I didn't expect that. I thought it would be much more of a fluff piece, so that was a pleasant surprise. George C. Scott gives an excellent performance. The movie also impresses with its production value. The battle scenes, the amount of heavy weaponry and armor used, which apparently swallowed half the budget because, of course, there wasn't any CG back then. And, you know, the whole grand scale and scope of the events shown is pretty awesome. I also thought it was paced expertly. I mean, it's almost 3 hours long, but it flew by very quickly, only slowing down for me somewhere in the last hour. I think it's very good, and it serves as a perfect way to educate yourself, not just about Patton himself, but about the history of World War II in general. Because even with the stuff it omits, it's still pretty damn accurate. It's available on Disney+. Check it out if you haven't.